Hi, everybody. It's DJ Nikki with your weekly news wrap-up here on WXCD 107.3, brought to you by elwoodcity.org, and our new co-host, taking over for Jonathan Cortez the last few weeks and ongoing, is Cassie. How are you, hun?
I'm doing all right, Nikki. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm a little hectic this week, but if you guys notice any background noise, it's because it is a hot day here at WXCD, so we're running the air conditioning today. We're on a record day. Everybody knows by now that we record prior to the day that it airs. So with Pennsylvania weather, who knows, might be snowing by Saturday.
Yeah, you're right about that.
Yeah, right. You just never know. My son, he was talking about where he wants to live when he grows up, you know, and he said, I think I'm going to go live in Maine. And then he was like, nah, it's probably too cold there. He's like, maybe South Carolina. And he's like, nah, it's probably too hot there. He goes, I guess I'll just stay in Pennsylvania so I can have all 4 seasons in one day.
Yeah, good point. Good point. My brother used to say that whenever I was younger. He's like, welcome to Pennsylvania. We have the most bipolar weather.
Right. Yeah, so I don't know. The weather's been pretty good. This is our record day, so we're in here on a Thursday, and I'm hoping that the weather's going to be good tonight for our movie night. So I'm pretty excited about movie night. I made a new flyer for it yesterday because through the process of me moving, could not find the original post about our movie night, so I had to make this new one. I was pretty happy though. I found this new site that makes flyers pretty easy, pretty legit looking.
Did you have to pay for it?
No.
Oh, well.
I mean, they want you to, but I find ways around that.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I've done that too.
Just sometimes you gotta utilize what you have, you know.
Absolutely.
So I know that you just started working at elwoodcity.org recently, but have you just come to the area? Are you new to Elwood City?
I actually don't live in Elwood City. Funny enough, I'm house hunting today to live around here.
See that?
Yeah, so right after this show I'm going to be doing that. But originally I'm from Pittsburgh, and I moved up here with my mom over in the Darlington area.
Okay, my mom lives out by that area too.
It's a nice area. I mean, it's small, but there's not a lot going on.
I was going to say, if you're looking for country living, it's great. If you're looking for what's going on, it's not.
Absolutely not, no. But I've actually been staying with my friend. She lives in Newcastle, and it's slightly farther than my mom's house, so
yeah, I originally had moved back I lived here forever, and I moved back to Elwood after a short time away because the radio station just, it's time consuming. But with the introduction to all the technology that we have, thanks to our engineering tech guy, Randy, and our music director, Johnny, who I think's a computer genius. Johnny C, it's funny because everybody thinks he's just like this wild, crazy DJ, really under that, he's a super intelligent techie, completely. He's such a nerd. And that's not an insult coming from me because I love nerds. So every time I call him a nerd, he's like, thanks.
It's a compliment. That's awesome.
Yeah, but thanks to those guys, I found out that there's a lot of things that I can do even from home, and then come in here on just a few days a week to get done what I need to do here, which is way better than all the time that I had to spend here in the beginning.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. When I first started doing stuff here, it was like 20 hours a day.
What?
Yeah,
oh
like 6 or 7 days a week. I just wasn't even sleeping.
Wow.
But it's all pretty under control now. Like right now, we've been running some reruns and some different programs just because we're trying to delegate different things to different staff while I'm moving. This moving process is like killing me.
I know. I definitely feel your pain. Like I said, I just moved in with my friend.
But luckily, the house that it just started renting is wonderful. It's like close enough to the city where you can go shopping in a 2 or 3 minute drive, but the house itself sits on this wooded corner lot, so you kind of feel like you're in the country. Yeah. So instead of having a housewarming party, I'm having a bonfire. You know what I mean? Because I just miss that. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Sounds like it'll be fun.
So anyway, getting to the news weekly wrap up. Tell me what's going on around Elwood City.
There's actually quite a few things going on this week, but most importantly, to me anyways, because it kind of hits close to home, I'm a huge animal lover, And we got an email this morning about the local spay and neuter event.
The clinics that they do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For like $50, you get your cat.
It's a great deal.
Yeah, spayed and neutered. And they also get like all of their shots. They get flea treatment. They get mite treatment. And it's a really good deal, honestly.
It really is. I've actually been watching Facebook waiting for that to pop up because I know that they do it like every 4, 5, 6 months. You know, they try to have one every couple of months. And I've been watching for it because I have a kitten who just hit 6 months. And she just started kind of behaving like she was going to go into heat, but she didn't get into that whole full-blown cat that drives you crazy in the middle of the night meowing kind of thing yet. But she's starting to just act like she's going to go into heat. And, you know, I'm an animal lover, like dogs, cats, birds, snakes. I don't care. Like, I love animals. And all of my cats have always been spayed and neutered. Yeah. And I was just waiting for her to hit that 6-month mark. And so I've been watching Facebook. So I was really glad when you told me that there's going to be one coming up. So the details on it, where's it going to be and what's the date?
Okay. The date for it is September 20th. It's actually a Tuesday. And it's going to be at the Franklin Township building. Like I said, it's $50, and that includes their rabies, their flea treatment, ear mite, and deworming.
Nice.
And obviously, in order to like really post that on the site, I did a little bit of research about it, and I got some statistics to post with it of, you know, why people should spay and neuter their animals. And honestly, it was quite saddening, the statistics that I pulled from the ASPCA website.
So what kind of numbers are we talking?
Okay, well, one of the statistics was that approximately 7.6 million companion animals enter the animal shelters nationwide each year. Approximately 3.9 of those are dogs, and 3.4 million of those are cats. And approximately 2.7 million of those animals are euthanized.
Wow. I can't believe so many.
I know, isn't that crazy?
And you know, this, honestly, this clinic that you're talking about, anybody who owns a companion animal, whether it's a dog or a cat, they should be spayed or neutered if you are not planning on breeding them. Because one, we need to decrease the numbers of these animals that have to be killed.
Yeah.
And two, the other thing is if you have an animal that has the ability to breed, but you do not breed them, you increase their risk of cancer. It's like 75%. I mean, you're almost guaranteeing that, say that you love your companion animal, but you don't spay or neuter them, you have a 3 out of 4 chance of having to watch your animal die of cancer later in life.
That would be so heartbreaking.
And like I've had a cat die of cancer, and she was fixed. She had actually contracted feline leukemia.
Oh, really?
Right. And we were told when we got her that she had had all those shots, you know, that she had been treated for all that.
Yeah.
But we had taken in another stray who we thought had a runny nose, you know, like a cold. Turns out that is one of the symptoms of feline leukemia, is when they sneeze a lot and they look like they have a cold. It's a sign of it. And sure enough, you know, she got leukemia, and we had to have her put to sleep. And it was like heartbreaking, because from the time that we called the vet and said, hey, something's wrong with her, she's not wanting to eat,
yeah,
to the time that they got her an appointment was only 3 weeks, and it was the most horrible 3 weeks of my life.
It's horrible to watch animals suffer, and I'm sure that that's exactly what you did.
Yeah, and it was heart-wrenching. And I remember when I was in college, when I did my writing course, one of my writing assignments was, you know, write an essay either about the happiest day of your life or the worst day of your life. And I was in my 20s then, so losing my cat that way was the worst day of my life. I mean, yeah. I'm 40 now. I've had much worse things happen to me since then. But my writing instructor told me that it made him cry.
Oh, that's really
Yeah.
sad. It makes
Yeah.
me upset even just hearing about
Yeah,
it.
and so a lot of that. Now, granted, my situation was a little differently. She had caught leukemia,
Yes.
but the point is, cancer is cancer, and it is wretched to watch anybody or anything die
Yeah.
of it. And if you can spay and neuter your animal and decrease their risk of, getting cancer, then why not? Especially with these clinics out there, where it's so cost effective.
Oh, it is. I mean, if you go to the store and just buy flea treatment,
Right.
that alone is like $20. If
Yeah.
you get the expensive stuff, you're looking more like $60.
Yep.
So to have all of that included in one, appointment for that cheap
Now,
is
did
crazy.
they mention whether the animals had to be pre-registered so that they don't get too many at, coming in all at the same time?
It actually didn't say anything about that in the email, but
How about a contact phone number?
I think the contact phone number is on the post, and if it's not already, then I will add it.
Okay. So everybody can check out elwoodcity.org and look for the details and information about the spay and neuter clinic coming up in September. You said the 22nd, right?
No, the 20th.
The 20th. Okay. So September 20th is going to be the spay and neuter clinic at the Franklin Township Municipal Building. And you guys got to check out the details. Just go to elwoodcity.org. And so that was good to know. Like I said, I've been looking for it. So I'm glad it was something that you brought out to talk about today.
Yeah, like I said, it kind of hits close to home as an animal lover. So
Definitely.
I, want to help all the animals that I can. And I believe that that's something that society can do.
Yeah, when I was young, I never I'm really old. Okay, so when I was young, I used to watch this show called The Price is Right, which I guess is still out. Drew Carey does it, but Bob Barker did it back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the show, they always said spay and neuter your animals. And when I was a kid, I thought that was horrible. Like, why would you want to rid the world of cute little fur babies?
Yeah.
Until I realized how awful it is to have all these fur babies live their life in a cage in Humane Society and then be put to sleep and die.
I know. That's no quality
And
of life
to me,
at
that
all.
was so much worse. And then I was like, oh,
Yeah.
please, spay and neuter, please.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I'm the exact same way. I love kittens and I love puppies, but if I go and get an animal, I'm getting it out of a shelter, and I'm getting the one that's the most abused, unhappy animal that
Exactly.
no one wants, because that's the one that,
There
needs
has
a
been a meme floating around Facebook now for a couple years, and it shows a dog with duct tape over its whole snout and duct
Aw.
tape. Its feet were duct taped together.
Oh my God.
And somebody made a meme out of it, and it's been all over the place. I've actually met that dog in person.
Nuh-uh.
Her name was Jaina, or Jada. I confuse names sometimes, but she was the most wonderful dog that you could ever meet. I actually tried to adopt her, and she got adopted out before I got the chance to go through the whole process.
Uh-huh.
But she went to a great home. It was a dog show that we did at a local place, and it was actually organized by a local girl, Cindy Smith, and she's a dog lover. And so this dog, someone had duct taped her snout shut and duct taped her feet together. Literally, I mean, like, why?
Was
Why?
that around here,
Mhm.
like Pennsylvania?
It was around the Pittsburgh area.
Oh my God.
And it's like, this dog couldn't run away. It couldn't
No.
eat. It couldn't drink. I mean, why would
No, it's
someone
just
have the mentality to
psychopathic
do
at
that?
point.
And even though she had been that abused, once she had been rescued by the shelter and gone through a short rehabilitation, she was the most lovable, wonderful dog. She was a pit bull lab mix, and she was wonderful. Like, she loved kids, and she was in this big crowded area with all these people and kids that she had never met, and she was the most docile, loving thing ever.
Animals are amazing. Their ability to forgive,
Right.
we could learn from. Honestly, humans should learn from it because it's
Exactly.
so touching. There was actually just another recent story that happened in Pennsylvania as well, over in New Holland. I don't know if you know anything about like New Holland auctions. It's a big place to get like horses who go to slaughter,
Okay.
or it's a really big like Amish type of
Okay.
sell and trade because it's over in the Lancaster area. So a lot of people take their retired horses there. And there was one horse after an auction that didn't get sold and no one took it home, and it was covered in paint. And as they inspected her closer, they saw that it wasn't just paint that was on her, it was from being shot with a paintball gun.
Aww.
And the horse is like 32 years old, blind. They had to actually take one of her eyes out. It was just
and
so
someone was
sickening.
using her as target practice.
Yeah.
Oh, that's sick.
Yeah, and
So
she,
sad.
she was emaciated. She looked horrible, but she actually ended up getting adopted by, I'm not exactly sure who the talk show host is, but a really famous talk show host.
Aww.
So she should be living out the rest of her days happily, but it's just sad that she had to endure that.
Yeah, it is. So, I know me personally, I'm going to be taking my little fur baby over there, which was another thing that I wanted to mention is that, some discarded feral animals, they manage to get lucky and, have a good life.
Mm-hmm.
But like you said, a lot of them end up in shelters and they end up being euthanized and killed. Like the way that I got mine was my daughter showed up here at the radio station, her and her two friends with these 3 little teeny tiny kittens. I mean, they could fit in the palm of your hand. And so her 2 friends each took one and we took one. She was so young that after about the first whole day and night of having her, I realized that she hadn't gone to the bathroom at all. So I started reading on the internet, why?
Yeah.
And then I found out that kittens that are that young have to be stimulated by their mother because they don't have the ability to even go to the bathroom on their own. So we manually had to mother her constantly until she was about 6 weeks old before she, was able to do it on her own. But that's the thing, it's time consuming and it takes a lot of patience and it takes a lot of effort.
Yeah.
And when you're talking about every single cat or dog who's not spayed or neutered could potentially give birth to 5 to 9 babies at a time.
Yeah.
That's a whole lot of homes needed just for one litter.
Absolutely. And people always want them when they're kittens and puppies, but they don't want them when they're older.
Exactly. All right. So I know that I'm going to utilize that upcoming event that's going on. So I hope everybody else out there does the same because the cost that it is nothing compared to the cost that it would be to take care of just one litter of kittens or puppies that could come out of the fact, if you don't do it, the cost of puppies and kittens down the road is way more.
I know, and people think that I'll have a litter of kittens and then sell them. Well, you can't. No one really wants to buy a kitten.
Nope. Yeah, because I know at some point, my daughter realized that parenting was not that great of a job, and she was just like, can't we just get rid of her? And I'm like, no. You picked her up on the side of the street, you saved her, you nursed her back to health, and now you're stuck with her.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. But she'll definitely be one of the ones on the list there that day to get spayed.
Good. I'm glad I brought it up, Nikki.
I am thrilled that you brought it up. It's the highlight of my day right now. Okay, so what else we got going on in the news?
I kind of wanted to bring it up that there's been a lot of criminal mischief complaints in the local counties, specifically Elwood, and the police are still investigating them. But I did want everyone to know to kind of be on the lookout because there's been a lot of car damage, like cars being keyed, and one woman reported that rocks were thrown at her car, and they were nice cars. Like she had a 2010 BMW. That's not a cheap car.
Right.
So overall, just I want everyone to be aware that
right. And everybody out there listening, when you guys are being vigilant and keeping your eyes open, your ears open and listening, I mean, don't hesitate to call your local police department if you see something suspicious, you hear something suspicious, but also keep in mind that available at the mayor's office is tip sheets. They're 100% anonymous. You can write down something that you find suspicious or that you find just not right, and just slip it under the door at the mayor's office, because every morning when he goes in, the first thing he does is check all the tip sheets that have been dropped off. So they try to stay on top of that, and it's anonymous, you know what I mean? So everybody, if you want to live in a safe community, you all have to play a part in it.
Yeah.
We have hired police, but you have to be the other eyes and ears out there in the community and help them out to do their jobs. So everybody keep your eyes and ears open. And I suspect personally that the minor criminal mischief probably will drop and decrease, because now school just started back again, and younger people have less time on their hands during school.
Yeah.
So it will probably drop off a little bit, but still, everybody, just be vigilant and take your role, play your part in keeping your community safer. So, anything else for the weekly news wrap up?
Yes, I have one more thing that I wanted to bring up. I did a post earlier in the week about people expressing their concerns on Facebook in the group Standing Up to Elwood Electric. Someone had posted that he is concerned about, if the hospital is to close, are the electric prices going to go up? And he mentioned that he heard something about it in a council meeting, which I specifically didn't hear any talk about in any council meetings because I was there. But I don't know. Obviously, I might have missed something.
I know that there was a lot of talk for a while, and it seemed like the closing of the hospital was imminent. Like, I would say as early as this past June. They weren't expecting it to stay open. I'm friends with a lot of people up there. I heard a rumor, an unconfirmed account, that the hospital stayed open because of a personal donation.
Oh,
really? From somebody, and it was a lot of money.
It would have to be to keep a hospital like that running.
It was a lot. But the other thing, other than just a contribution from an outside person helping them, I know that the borough is trying to help them stay here by offering the hospital a reduced rate on their electric, because the hospital's electric bill is $40,000 to $60,000 per month.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And that's
a lot of money.
Staggering number. When people are sitting at home and they're complaining because their electric bill is $150 or $200, you just remember that every time you walk into Elwood Hospital, you're talking about a $50,000 a month electric bill. So I know that the council, in order to try to help the hospital stay afloat, is trying to work out a plan where they can give them a reduced rate.
Yeah, to help keep them open. I honestly think that's probably a good idea. And actually, after talking to the council president, Connie McDonald, I did ask him what his thoughts were about if the hospital is to close, would everyone's bills increase? And he said, yes, they would, but he doesn't believe that it would be, honestly, a large amount at all. So, if they can offer them a reduced rate and just slightly.
Yeah, I mean, every little bit helps when you're trying to keep the hospital open. Because, I mean, not just because of the electrical rates on everybody else, but think of, all the people who work in the hospital.
Yeah.
And
it's a big business.
To remove that much, employment and revenue from this area would be detrimental.
That's exactly what Connie said. And he also stated that he thinks that the people of Elwood should focus on being, more
supportive. I mean, if the people of Elwood can form a group that gets 3,000 members in a week to stand up against Elwood Electric, then people should stand up together to better the community.
Yeah.
And focus on the positive things that you can do.
That's exactly what he said. Focus on supporting your community, and for anything that you can go get done at the hospital, go and get done there, because you're supporting the hospital staying open.
Right. Yeah.
And every little bit counts.
Exactly. It's the same principle whenever you talk to people about shop local and shop small. If you can get a service or an item here locally, then do it. Don't go out to the big conglomerate, companies to shop. Don't shop online all the time. Get out of your houses and support your local businesses, because that's what makes your town better.
Yeah.
And, a lot of people out there, I know that Bob down there that owns the National Grind Coffee Shop, he is a big advocate for shopping local and shopping small. And he said that, you may save yourself a few pennies by shopping online or, shopping at the big superstores. But the quality and the friendships that you build by shopping local will end up paying off in the long run.
Yeah. He's exactly right about that too.
And I noticed this, we interviewed Chrissy Husnack, and she owns Chrissy's Cleaning Service. And she talks about living local, and she's grew up in Elwood her whole life. And when you talk about spending that couple extra cents, but building friendships and relationships with people, Chrissy spent her whole life doing that. And when I sit here and I talk to her, I'm amazed at how many people she is friends with, like in real life. We're not just talking about somebody who has 3,000 friends on Facebook because they know how to network social media. We're talking about someone who goes in, she looks people in the eye, she shakes hands, and she knows just about everybody. And that's what happens when you shop local and you shop small. You build relationships with people. And, I may have to pay 10 extra cents for a loaf of bread from a local bakery, but I know that down the road, if I'm having, a birthday party or something and I need 6 dozen cupcakes, if you have that relationship with them, then you're able to say, well, hey, why don't we work out a deal?
Yeah.
And that's what happens when you network in person with somebody. You get that. And we have that small community here. Even though I'm in the middle of the move right now and I'm moving just outside of Elwood, Elwood's always going to be my hometown. This is where I've lived when I was little, and I moved away for a while and I came back. It's like I always come back. And we had an interview here not that long ago. Our sports guy, Don Costa, interviewed Stephen Johns, and he plays in the NHL for the Dallas Stars. And he said the same thing. Elwood's always going to be home. And even though he has to go to Texas to play during the hockey season, he just recently purchased a home just outside of Elwood, because he said that no matter where he goes in his life, this is always going to be the place to come home to. And that's people who don't live in Elwood, who just move in. They all say the same thing. Like, it's such a nice community to live in. And the sad thing is people who have been here a long time, a lot of them get complacent with it and they don't realize it's such a great place.
Yeah.
You'll hear a lot of people complain about Elwood City Hospital, but you know what? You have a local hospital.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say.
It employs really local residents, and you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it's great to have on hand, honestly.
It is. I remember when my oldest son, he's 24 now, when he was 7 and he had just learned how to ride a bike for the very first time.
Yeah.
He wrecked.
Oh.
I mean, most kids do. And I was this overprotective parent. He had wrist pads, elbow pads, knee pads, a helmet. He had all this stuff on. But guess what? He hit a manhole cover with the dead center with his face and shattered his nose.
Oh.
So it didn't matter about all this protective gear that he was wearing. Accidents still happen. I always tell everybody that's why they're called accidents. If not, they'd be called on purposes. And it was nice to know that it was, literally the 5-minute car trip felt like eternity to me, because I was holding my kid in my arms and he was bleeding all over me.
Oh, that's really sad.
So 5 minutes felt like such a long time. If I knew that I would have had to have driven out of town to take my son to an emergency room, it would have been horrific.
Yeah.
So I can tell you as a parent, to be able to take your child to a hospital that is 5 minutes away is the best thing you could ever ask for. And it was a severe break. That I know that when he finally got to see the specialist, they said it's hard to believe that he wrecked a bicycle and did this kind of damage, because we've seen kids fall off of the roof of a garage and not have this kind of damage.
Maybe it's because he was still growing. I don't know.
They said that the reason why is because the metal ring that goes around the manhole cover was slightly elevated, and he hit the edge of the ring, hit him dead center in his nose. And that's why, because they said that it literally split the frontal bone in half.
That sounds really painful.
But like I'm saying, though, I was able to hold him while my husband drove, and it was only 5 minutes before I was able to hand him to somebody who looked like knew what she was doing. You know, and they were able to get his pain under control right away. They stopped the bleeding. He was able to see a nose specialist the very next day.
People also don't realize how much of a convenience it is that the hospital is only about 5 minutes away. So typically, unless it's a really, really bad emergency, you don't need to call an ambulance.
Right, which is a hefty fee.
Yes.
Yes, a trip in an ambulance is so expensive, and I'm not knocking them. I mean, they need
fault.
to, right.
Yeah.
I mean, they need to make their revenue to stay open and, you know, cover their costs. But having a hospital that close, you're right. To be able to have, you know, like in my son's case, my husband drove us, you know.
Yeah.
If I had lived further away from a hospital, I probably would have had to call 911. I mean, my son was gushing blood everywhere.
Yeah, exactly.
And I took karate when I was a kid, and I know that they always said that you can literally damage your brain with your, you know, with the frontal bone from your nose. So, and he was so out of it. He wasn't making any sense. And to be able to get to a hospital that quickly in our own vehicle, and then to find out through an x-ray, which was done the first 10 minutes that we were there, that it was just a frontal bone break, that there was no other facial damage, I got relief quickly. And it was because our hospital's so close.
Yeah, exactly. So people, you know, do need to support the local hospital. And as Connie said, utilize any services that they provide, even if it's something as simple as a flu shot or getting your blood taken.
Yeah.
Go there.
Definitely.
Because it makes a difference to them.
And,
if 100 people
obviously we can see that people in this town know how to rally together, and they know how to stand up for things that they desire.
Yeah.
So, you know, community enrichment should be something that you all desire.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, Cassie. Well, it was great being able to sit here and talk to you today. If that's all that you have for us for the elwoodcity.org weekly news wrap up.
Yeah, I think that's everything, Nikki.
All right. Well, then we'll call it a wrap. Don't forget, make sure you check out all the details to all the stories that you hear about on elwoodcity.org. And it's great to have Cassie on board. I'll see you next week.
See you, Nikki.